Hi, I'm Dino Tripodis, and tonight on Whiskey Business, the largest local independent film, Down to the Felt, has just wrapped principal photography right here in Columbus, Ohio. And tonight, we talk to the creators, director, producer, writer, Jon Osbeck, writer, producer, Ralph Scott, and writer, producer, Dino Tripodis. Hey, that's you. Dino Tripodis. Then who the hell's hosting this thing?
And wow, I'm not as good looking as Dino.
That's true.
This is John Whitney, and I'm kind of a co-host here with Greg and Chip. We're going to be asking all the questions tonight about the major independent movie. First time on set, Dino?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Now who's most likely to ruin a take?
It's okay. He's only did a feature-length movie.
You take it?
Right. But we're going to talk about Down to the Felt, a major independent film shot right here in Columbus, Ohio. But first, let's go through the...
That's right.
See how this works, Dino? You go right up front.
Because this is the podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one with whiskey.
Yeah.
Thank you for subscribing on your favorite podcast.
Smooth, boys. Really smooth.
Yeah, we're doing it.
Yeah, smooth.
Go ahead and if you're on iTunes, rate and review us because that's how people discover us. Also, word of mouth and grassroots. That's like an old school thing.
Is that?
But that helps a lot as well.
Okay.
We are on Instagram, Facebook. I don't know if we're on X anymore, but it doesn't matter.
No.
But we are on YouTube, Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis. Whitney does a great job with the unedited podcast.
Sometimes. I fall asleep sometimes and I miss edits, but then I wake up again and I pick it back up.
So did everybody else. It's all right. If you're asleep, the audience is gone.
That's true.
Thanks to Evergreen Podcasts, our parent company, evergreenpodcasts.com. And I guess I was going to jump right into the guest bottle here.
Yeah,
And this is perfect because this is, first of all, two scotches.
Two scotches. Scotch whiskeys tonight. I thought it was...
What's the difference? What makes the difference between a whiskey and a scotch?
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Is there peat or something? Some kind of the material, right?
I don't know. Go across the pond and find out.
We have two scotches, and
one's a blended scotch, and one is a single malt scotch.
But
What are their names?
why don't one of you explain where these bottles came from? Because we are here to talk about the movie Down to the Felt. We've got the writer and producers.
They are part of the movie.
I'm going to pour the Mossburn while you're
You're going
talking.
to pour the Mossburn?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys can choose between your single malts and your nice pop. Nice pop.
In case you didn't hear that.
The Mossberg and the Tora, I don't even know how you say it. Did we figure out how to say that? Tora Baig? I don't know. These come from a company called Marussia. Marussia recently joined forces with Watershed Distillery. And Marussia and Watershed actually have product placement in our film.
There you go.
And what you guys will be sampling this evening are some leftover product placement.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Which yours truly cleverly negotiated to keep whatever was left over.
Yeah, that's our cut.
This is our product placement right now.
So, yes, we'll be departing from our normal. I mean, it's whiskey business.
Yeah.
We've had Irish whiskeys.
Sure.
And, obviously whiskeys from Kentucky and other places that have taken their shot at bourbon. But we seldom. I think we've only had Scotch on the show like 3 or 4 times. So
I'm going to try it right now.
it's different.
We're
All
gonna
right.
try
It's
right now?
different.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Job well done, boys.
Thank you. Thank you, John. John
I
Horn.
run for that guy.
Thank you, John and Greg at Marussia and
Yes.
Watershed. Thank you so much.
This is
that's
the
good.
cask bill number 1, distilled on the island of Scotland.
I'm telling you,
Scotland.
Smoke and spice.
when you've been used to drinking bourbon and
This is-
you dip into Scotch, that first sip is like it's a wake up call.
This is reused American whiskey barrels, heavy toasted heads,
Yeah.
I could taste that.
That's what she
and
said.
first fill bourbon staves. So there you go. That's the trifecta that makes
It is very
this
different when
flavor.
you're used
It
to bourbon.
tastes like the way the earth of the island smells.
Thank you, Chip. Chip Kocel with color, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Color commentary.
Actually, I would have liked to have seen Chip take a shot at the opening. I think not that you guys didn't do a great job.
No,
with
okay,
it.
whatever.
Whatever. It's fine.
How about you bring us back from the break?
fine.
Is there a break? Bring us back from the break. All right, we'll do a break.
So how hard was it, or how easy was it, I suppose, to work in these product placements? Because you also did you have White Castle as well?
White Castle as well.
So
White Castle
how
was
did you
product
guys do that into the film?
Pretty easily.
Yeah.
There were places were in a bar, and our main character was ordering drinks, so that was easy.
So you get to say the name and the placement of the bottle, or
Yes.
what?
We did.
Nice.
We did. And
able to mention Marussia products and Watershed products, and show Marussia products and Watershed products.
yes.
How do you do that? Does the person just order, the character order the drink? Give me a Mauricio. And
Watershed on the Rocks.
Watershed on the Rocks.
Oh, nice.
Double Mossburn neat.
Double
Yeah,
moss
there you
burn
go.
neat.
Right. So these things were elements that were in the script, so it's not like we were shoehorning anything in,
Right.
or we were forcing anything. And to our product placement partners, they didn't want that either.
Right. They want it naturally
They wanted-
seamless.
Yeah. So and nobody ever wanted it to feel like it was some kind of paid advertisement. So
Right. Like today's
White
sponsor.
Castle-
Like today's sponsor, Gatto's Pizza.
Gotta
Gotta get Gatto's Pizza.
Well done, Chip.
Gotta
Thank
get
you.
it.
Just
Our,
like that.
our
Yes.
unofficial pizza sponsor.
Thank you.
But,
Yes. Sorry,
Gatto's-
please continue, John. I didn't
White
interrupt
Castle
you.
was already in the script.
Yes.
That's funny.
Because when we decided to make this a Columbus-centric story,
Sure.
White Castle is just a fabric of that, and we had that in there because we found it enjoyable.
So
for
how
the
did that
characters to do
placement
that.
go? Who had the actual? What was being eaten?
Sliders.
Sliders.
And
so
somebody
the-
was choosing frozen sliders out of the grocery store.
And there's a scene with Ralph trying to
with a broken finger, trying to get a slider
Out of a-
the
out of a
cardboard
white-
pouch.
A real broken finger or an actor broken finger?
actor
broken
finger.
fingers.
But Jamie, who was our White Castle contact, that was his favorite part. That's what made him laugh.
Was he on set?
No, we tried to get him on set several times, but he's a busy man.
Native advertising.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
That's
All right, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
For
All
coming.
right.
Hey, all right.
Good.
Well, thank
Okay.
you.
So I have an opening question. It's,
Okay,
it's
let's
really
go there,
easy,
Johnny.
and just a layup, really. Just kind of get the ball rolling.
Sure.
What's your favorite color?
Black. Apparently, if I'm looking at the three of us.
Who are you wearing right now? You got to get used to this shit.
Yeah.
Haynes.
And my last one is.
who am I wearing?
Ooh, Banana Republic.
Nice.
I don't even
Damn.
know what I'm
Cash that
wearing.
check
I'm
already.
pretty sure mine is Haynes.
Yeah.
Mine is Jickapenny.
Okay.
Chickapetty.
Jickapenny.
In the series of 3 of these opening questions, are you fucking crazy?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd
Yeah.
ask that to make a movie. You got to be pretty nuts.
Absolutely.
You know that, John Whitney. Anybody that attempts to make a motion picture is got to be a little bit nuts.
Yeah, a little
Anybody who
bit.
attempts to make
Little
an
bit.
independent motion picture is absolutely
Certifiable nuts.
Sure.
Batshit crazy.
All right,
Yeah.
well, let's take a step back because we've talked about the film before on the podcast, but in case you're missing it, the three of you go to a cabin alone. Yes. And you bring a typewriter and some whiskey, and you write the beginnings of this screenplay, more or less, right?
Yeah, that's exactly
More
what
fun.
happened.
Okay. Then you finish it. Then you enter it into a screenwriting competition in L.A.
A couple of them.
and you win some accolades out there.
Yes.
You try to sell it. It doesn't. Nobody bites. So you said, "Fuck it."
No.
Okay.
Misnomer.
Okay, great.
Misnomer.
Okay, perfect.
See,
Set
that
the-
was
set
that
the
was
record
actually that was referenced in one of the pieces of press, and it made it sound like that. It made it sound like nobody bit that, and it was kind of miscommunicated a little
So they're
bit.
sniffing around a little bit.
People were sniffing
Oh yeah,
around.
they were asking to read the script.
Read the script. We had good meetings, and we had a lot of interest. We generated a lot of interest, but so no, there was interest.
Got it.
Okay.
So, but nobody pulled the trigger, I guess.
Well, we decided to not. That's the big difference.
Gotcha.
And when we went to AFM the second year, when we went with the package of our pitch deck and the script ready to go, that's when we had a good number of meetings, which is kind of rare to get off of cold
Yeah. it's
emails.
Sure.
And friends of ours who have been to AFM before were they were impressed by the number of meetings that we had and the responses that we were getting, and they were very encouraging to us,
That's nice.
saying that's the road that you're going to go down if you're going to end up selling it, and maybe even selling and producing it.
Sure.
But by the end of that first AFM, or the second AFM that we were there, we had finished it. It was the night after. We were getting ready to leave the next day, and it was the three of us. We were sitting on a patio that's about as big as this table in the hotel room. And that's when I looked at these guys and I was like, you know what? I don't know if I don't think we're ready to sell this thing.
Yeah.
I think, that idea of selling the script and then starting over again, and also kind of letting your baby go. And that was the moment that we all three decided, okay, if we're going to make this, then we're going to make it what we said. We're going to make it right. We're going to do it the way it should be done. Which is at a different level than any of us had ever done anything before. So it was that moment where we decided, okay, we're going to stop that process, and we're not going to engage any further with any of these production companies that were asking for the script, had already asked for the script. Instead, we said decided we were going to take it in our own hands and make it ourselves.
So at what point after you made that decision did you meet your producer from California that kind of helped you guys out a little bit with some hookups?
We had sent him the script while we were at AFM.
I'm sorry, his name was
Cullen
Cullen
Douglas.
Yes.
And I've known him for 35 years.
Oh, from the
worked-
Chicago days or something?
No, right before my Chicago days.
Okay.
At
Your
Art
Chicago
Reach-
days.
Chicago days.
My Chicago days.
Chicago, bang bang.
No, we did Art Reach Touring Theater. We toured up and down the East Coast.
Oh, okay.
With 3 different shows.
That's right, 'cause he's an actor.
Yes. So we got to know each other. You know each other very well when you're touring. And then when we were out there, we sent him the script. And probably a day, we were still there when he got back to us and said, Jesus, I love it.
Nice.
This reads like a studio script. I'll talk to you guys when you're on the way back. And different people that we were talking to there about the movie, and the three of us would speak so passionately about it. They were like, we heard on numerous occasions, Jesus, why don't you guys just do it
yourself?
Yeah, and we were like, I don't know if we want to. I don't know if we want to. But then finally, at the end, Johnny voiced what we were all thinking.
Yeah.
Let's just do it.
All right, so then fast forward, you decide to do it. And loosely towards the beginning of this year, 2024, it's, well, for me, it would be kind of like the not fun part, the fundraising part. Is that more or less, you guys had a goal? What were some of the hurdles and the wins
These
there?
are real questions, man.
Yeah, real
That's a
question.
question. Nicely done.
We needed an $850,000 shooting budget.
Initially, in order for SAG to sign off on it? Is that what it was?
No, there's no budget limit for SAG to sign off on anything.
I got you.
You basically decide what your budget is, and then you submit your budget to SAG to get approved and get your production number and your signatory number from SAG. It was right after that we, I think it was a month or so later that we started talking with Cullen and formulating this plan to do the concept reel.
Right. Yeah.
And we thought if we had that would spark the
Interest,
fundraising initiative. So we were very fortunate to find a couple who were the first investors in the film who funded the ability for us to do that.
Nice.
And from that point, that really then took a leap. We then worked with a graphic designer to come up with a redesign of the pitch deck. We did the website overhaul. We had the concept reel. So then we really truly had a financing package that we could take to someone.
Something to pitch.
One of my favorites was you had the actual casino tokens with your QR code on it.
That was at the fundraiser.
Poker chips.
Yeah, poker
that's
chips,
funny.
casino tokens. Is that what they call it?
They were chips. They were poker chips.
They were poker
Poker
chips with little stickers and QR codes on them.
That's clever.
Yeah,
I like that. I missed that party. I'm sorry.
All right, so
I was out of town.
I'm fast forwarding. You guys get your $800 plus $1,000 to start initial filming. Now what?
Then we film.
And we did.
It's as simple as
All
that.
right, 22
that?
22 days of aggressive 14 to 16 hour days, 12 for our crew, and then some for us as well. 22 days of remarkably magical filmmaking.
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't without its fair share of speed bumps, as would be the case in any type of project like that. But I gotta say, in hindsight, boys, we were blessed. We were blessed with mostly good weather throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
Well, let's backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
So I want to know, like, during the fundraising process, was there a dark moment where you're like going, we're not gonna fucking get this money?
Yeah, there were several.
Yeah.
Several. I mean, I'm also just reminiscent of the fact that, you know, when this thing comes out and when we're at this point now, everybody's like, yeah, you made a movie, you shot it in 22 days. What's that like? You know,
Yeah.
we started this idea in 21.
Yeah.
During the pandemic, right?
During the pandemic.
Uh-huh.
And so it's been 3 years in the making of doing this. We've spent, you know, when we made that concept reel, and then from the time that we came around to being fully funded was
like
over a year.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's interesting to look back on it. It took a lot of time to do that. And there were moments, you know, and that also was during a double strike.
Yeah.
Where there was the writer strike and the SAG strike. So we initially thought we were going to be filming much earlier.
Sure. I know there was a moment where I was asking Dino how fundraising was going, and he kind of told me where you guys were, and I was like going, ooh,
Yeah.
that's not enough.
And what I kept telling you, we'll get there.
Yeah,
we'll
I
get there.
I know.
Yeah,
But,
is
We'll
there
get there.
but I'm coming from a place where I know how difficult raising money
Yeah,
is,
it
and when you
is.
hear a number like that, I'm like going, oh, God, I hope they fucking make it.
Well, is there a fundraising deadline, like you drop dead deadline that you have to have the money by a certain time, or you're not going to make your movie? Forget it. I don't think
we
I
don't-
would think
we
there
never
wouldn't
had
be,
that.
right?
We made our own personal deadline.
Right.
Yeah.
I think what is important, and
Yeah.
that's a very good point, you know, is that you have to have some kind of self-imposed deadline.
Right.
So it's self-imposed, it's not SAG-imposed.
And that's why at a certain point we planted our flag and we said, okay, April of 2024, it's got to happen. Then we have to back it up. We have to have the money in by this day. We have to be at a certain amount of funds, and we kept on raising funds after that, but we knew we had to be at production funding
By
at a
April.
certain, long before.
Oh, long
We had to
before
be there
yeah.
in February
Gotcha.
or March. And it's amazing
Beginning of
how
March, I think, yeah.
you know when you put when you put a deadline on a goal, how I think something just magically also kind of happens in the whole
Yeah.
collective.
Yeah.
That's
of
what
that
Cop-
group
that's how
is doing
Coppola
it.
goes into a movie. He starts making a movie even though he doesn't have the money, but for some reason when he says he's making a movie, then people start falling in line.
Well, I don't know. Could be the fact that
You could be
he's-
Coppola.
This could be Coppola. Coppola.
Yeah, it's Coppola.
But you know, there's like dream. Somebody says it's something like dreams are just dreams until you put a date on it. You know, and then it becomes an actual attainable goal.
Sure.
Right.
And I think that's what we realized we had to do. Now, if we hadn't made it, I don't think it would have ever been chipped to a point where we would have said we're not going to ever make this. It would have had to be put off a little bit
Yeah.
further.
You would've
But-
kicked it down the road.
Yeah.
but then so many things started happening, and the thing about the fundraising too that I'll also say was the incredible generosity and the spirit of the investors that we have on this film.
True.
I think a lot of it is a testament of the relationships that a lot of us have had with people, and the reputations that we've had in this town for years. That people believed in us first, and then the script, but mainly they believed in us, and I think that was one of the most humbling things about the fundraising.
I'll
Yeah.
agree.
That's cool.
And
And
then it seemed
motivating, you know, that's got to feel good.
No,
it's
I mean,
motivating. It's also, you know, I think we'd all agree that it also feels very heavy because
Yeah.
you have a lot of people who are believing in you and trusting in you with a lot of zeros.
Don't fuck it up.
And
Right.
that's what we would tell ourselves.
Yeah.
We'd say, "All right, boys, we can't fuck this up."
No, we
So
said that right there.
What?
Failure is
Not an
not
option.
Oh,
Not
true.
an
I
option.
thought it was Steelers.
we said Steelers.
Said Steelers.
What percentage of the donors of the what do you call them, donors?
Fundraisers?
Thank you.
Investors?
People,
Investors? There you go.
are from Columbus, Ohio.
All of them. All of them.
Okay, cool. I didn't know 100%. That's great. That's even cooler.
Yeah.
There were
That-
some donors So we also had a wonderful fiscal sponsorship partnership with Wild Goose Creative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where they so fiscal sponsorship is when you have a nonprofit company extend that nonprofit to your project, and then people can make donations to it as tax deductible donations. But that money, after you give a percentage to that organization, then that money comes to the production.
Nice.
So Wild Goose was incredible in helping us with that, and we
Amazing.
actually ended up having donors come in from several different states.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool to see.
Did that represent a decent chunk or no?
We
Or
ended
enough
up
to make a difference?
Yeah,
All the
maybe.
chunks are decent.
Oh my
And
God.
we needed
Yeah.
every penny. So every
it
penny
was-
that came in.
and it was a significant chunk that
that's
came in
good.
through that partnership there.
Yeah, I didn't want to ask how much.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we wouldn't probably
divulge
say.
that.
But it was incredibly. No, we could not have done it without that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I know one of the challenges that at least I've heard from Dino's side of things is you guys are getting close to due date, due date, whatever the hell it is. I don't know what
Are you
any
trying
of the
to say
lingo is
D-Day?
called. Yeah, D-Day. But you guys you didn't nail down principal actors yet. You didn't know who was going to be necessarily be playing your lead roles. So you had everything else lining up, but you weren't sure who was going to be your stars.
Well,
we had
yeah,
one. We had Scotty
one.
locked
We had
up.
Scotty locked up. I mean, the other two, I was not worried about it because the feedback we were getting from our script from our casting director, all of these actors were pissed and upset that they had to pass on it because it didn't fit into their schedule, but they loved the script. So we knew it was just a matter of time until
For somebody.
before somebody's schedule was open.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also
how
an interesting lesson in production in filmmaking at this next kind of level is that is not a very uncommon thing.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, I discovered that later. At the time, I was in a panic.
Yeah, and I was too at a certain point. And we had other things that happened with the casting that I'll save for another time to talk about. But we did have someone who was interested in the project about a year previous to filming, and we couldn't make it work with their schedule. So there was the chance of already having somebody attached, and then that went away, and that's when we needed to pull the trigger to work with Brittany Ward, casting out of Chicago, who was incredible. Brittany Ward, is
amazing.
She's just an amazing person, amazing casting director, went above and beyond to help us navigate a lot of things that we had never dealt with before, with talent, with management, with contracts, and things like that. But she was very reassuring to say, like, when we were 2 weeks out from filming, to say, don't worry about it. And if this person passes on it or they can't do it, don't worry about it. I've got this and this person who will do it. She
You
said.
always hear about like, Kurt Russell was going to be Indiana Jones, but he couldn't because of blah blah blah.
I've never heard that.
So
ever
who
in my
was
entire
no
life.
one's ever said
I've
that.
never
actually.
heard
I'm just a
that.
nerd on Indiana Jones, and it was Tom Sellers.
It was Tom
Okay,
Sellers.
sorry.
Yes.
I knew it was somebody
He was
different.
Never
committed
heard
to Magnum PI.
Kurt Russell. No
Say
offense to
Kurt
Kurt
Russell,
Russell.
Magnum
Love
PI.
Kurt Russell.
Love
but
Kurt.
Never heard Kurt Russell.
Got me
being
some
mentioned.
Goldie. Love Kurt.
Are they alive still?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Kurt Russell's still alive. Yeah.
Who was this person that couldn't fit their schedule a year before you guys?
I don't want to say who it is,
Yeah.
but it's he is from Columbus, and he was all along was very encouraging about the script. Early on, when he read it, he loved the script, and we just with his other commitments, we couldn't make it happen. Once we committed to that April again, we had him. When we originally thought we were going to shoot earlier, it looked like it was going to happen with him, but then the strike happened.
Right.
And
It was Jesus. I'm just going to tell you. It was Jesus.
Okay.
hell of an
Dave
actor.
Chappelle.
Hell of an
actor.
actor, yeah.
Yeah.
But
certain Dave
all throughout,
Chappelle.
he continually wished us well,
yeah.
and has continued to say, to leave the door open for anything in the future.
Yeah.
I don't like the answer, but I want to know.
Yeah,
But that's fine.
That's
That's fine.
Was Scotty Scotty Thompson? She was on. She signed up early.
Yes.
How did you get her to? How did she find the project? How
That
did you
was
find
through
her?
Cullen.
That was through Cullen.
Cullen and her had worked on
Like
Portrait
12
of,
Monkeys or
Portrait of a Woman.
Portrait of a Woman. And they're good friends. And so Cullen showed her the script, and she loved the script, and she loved
Excellent.
the character Erica, so she signed on immediately.
Yeah.
Nice.
Is she the first one?
Yeah,
First
she's-
major
No,
one?
well, first actor.
Yeah.
The first one to sign on was Tim Storms,
Okay.
our stunt coordinator, and he also played Charlie.
Yeah.
He was the first person to sign on before the script was even done.
And you said he was Patrick Stewart's double?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it goes into your realm a little
You
bit.
might want
doesn't
to
it,
have him
boys?
on this other
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
Well, when I
I
visited
would
the
have
set,
said
you
your
see me
Star
because you were in
Trek
the bar.
podcast.
What's that?
damn it.
I visited the set, and you were in the bar, so I didn't get a chance to say hi. But he was out there, and Dina was like going, "That guy played Patrick Stewart's double."
No.
I looked at him like going, "Yeah."
Yep.
And
Oh,
so
yeah.
it
Yes,
looked
yes,
like-
yeah.
Oh,
he
yeah.
also played Larry David's double on Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh yeah. I
Man,
can see
where
that
was
too.
I?
Yeah.
Where was I?
All the big stunts that he
You
does.
were being an extra.
Oh,
Yeah,
full
you were-
disclosure.
you were
yes,
busy.
Greg and I were extras in the movie. Full disclosure.
I also
Gotta
want
get
to say
that out of
this
the way.
about Tim Storms. Not only was he's the first, but he also just at one point in the conversation, the Zoom call, just kind of enlightened us and said, "You guys do not realize what you've accomplished over the course of my career. I've had dozens upon dozens of scripts that have come to me, and everybody was like, we're going to do this movie, and it never came to fruition. And then when he said, and the fact that you guys did this so quickly, and when he said quickly, we all
we
looked
were
at
like,
each other.
"What?"
We all looked at each other like, what? It's been 2.5 years. He goes, no.
10 years,
Yeah,
20
by,
years.
by the comparatively, he said how the pieces all came together were pretty amazing to him. So that gave us a little shot of encouragement.
That was a huge shot of encouragement.
Did he talk like Picard? Like, yes, make it
When you can get him
Computer
to.
T,
Yeah.
Earl Grey, hot.
He will. Yeah.
Computer freeze program. Computer
He told us a story. He
roll
was
camera.
Doing he was doubling for Patrick Stewart, and Patrick Stewart left for the day, and they were doing shots from behind, and any shots from behind, that'll be Tim. And so he started doing the lines, but like Patrick Stewart, and he ruined a take because all these heads whipped around like, I thought Patrick left! What the fuck?
That's hilarious.
Engage.
Yeah, that's nice.
But Tim was great.
He was
Tim was
awesome.
great, and so was
And
his
Jesse.
Jesse.
Jesse Jacobson was
Jesse
incredible.
Jacobson was incredible.
Fantastic. And having him on our pitch deck initially, saying, hey, we've got Tim Storms, who's been doing stunts out here for over 35 years. He was in Spider-Man movie. He's done
He's done a ton.
Swordfish. I mean, he's done everything.
He's one of the uncredited stunt trainers on The Matrix with Lawrence, the original one.
Cool.
Yeah.
And also his, I don't know, dedication, but also his enthusiasm
Oh my
for
God.
our film and for the story, and how much he worked before he even came out here. He was doing previs of the fights. He was testing different things for stunts. He had actors who were available come in to work with him in LA before they got here.
Oh shit!
Just all
Yeah.
and not just to him, but also to the actors' credit that they just did that on their own time.
Wow.
And he was so excited about helping us tell the story, and through his department of stunts, how he could make it as good as it could possibly be. And that's like how every department was that we
Yeah.
had. But he was incredible.
That kind of leads me to my question: how was it working with an all Ohio crew?
Amazing.
Oh my God,
Fucking
amazing.
fantastic.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And talk about a quick forming family
No shit.
from day one. I mean, after we got done with day one, even when day one started, and you saw how everything was going and moving, and there were, and Johnny had this one shot that he wanted to do, a oneer, right on day one, which was an incredibly difficult shot. And when everything went so smoothly on that first day, and you saw everybody just working together, you're like, okay, this is good mojo. This is good mojo.
I could see that. Even
We're on our
when
way.
we were just the extras there for 2 afternoons. It was. I could see how that.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's hearing from the actors that weren't saying these things directly to us,
Yeah.
but were saying things to other people about how this crew and this set has been one of the best experiences they've ever had.
Cool. Yeah, that's nice.
And I think for me, and I think for us in a large way, I mean, part of it was that we weren't totally surprised by that because we know how good these crews are here,
Yeah.
and how good these technicians are, and that they're like we've all said, and we all know they're constantly going to Pittsburgh or
Cincinnati, Cleveland, wherever.
Kentucky or,
Yeah.
or Chicago or wherever, working in these different markets but there's just never been that opportunity to perform at this level
Here.
for them here, where they can sleep in their own beds, but they can still bring that A game that they all brought, and the fact that they just all those different departments came together.
That's good to
It's
know,
amazing.
right?
Yeah, it is
It's
good to
incredibly
know.
good to know.
I mean, even though it was never actually spoken out loud, you got the sense that everybody said, "This is." I'm talking about the crew now. This is our opportunity to step it up a notch as well, and to be part of this proof that you can do it in Columbus, and they did it, and they did it.
And we had other wonderful things happen that you just can't plan. You call it serendipity, call it whatever. Where someone like Kelsey Gray, who was our costume designer, head of wardrobe, had worked in Chicago on Chicago Med, Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, all those shows, but had chosen to come back to Columbus, where she's from, with her husband and her kids, because they were going to be raising their kids. They wanted to come back to Columbus. And then we have the wonderful opportunity that she reached out to us when she heard from the fundraiser that we did. She reached out to us, and I started a conversation with her, and she was just so excited to be a part of something that was happening in her hometown. That was one example. And then our art director, production designer, Jack Carnevale, who spent 10, 11 years in LA doing films and episodics as an art director and production designer, happens to be coming back to Columbus, Ohio with his wife to be back here in Columbus. And the wonderful thing is that, this project ended up being something where all of them had said, I can't believe that coming back here, I ever thought I would have had a chance to work on something like this. And now they have, and they're just excited to do the next thing.
You see, Mom, it works.
We can do it
We
here.
did, man. And there was serendipity is a good word. There was a lot of serendipity involved in this film. Somebody was smiling on us.
Yes.
So, I mean, obviously, like, your dream goal would be Hollywood coming to Columbus every weekend to do something. But, like, what's a practical, realistic goal to have come out of your shoot with these Ohio talents? Like,
To continue to make movies.
you know,
But this is just
build
the first
connections.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, to
To
prove
keep-
to Hollywood that we have the same excellent infrastructure that they're looking for in Cincinnati and Cleveland and in Pittsburgh. And you just quit overstepping Columbus.
Yeah.
We've got the goods right here.
There's, I think, a very unique opportunity for us to establish Columbus with an identity for filmmaking that these other cities around us haven't done, and that is to make Columbus a hub for true professional independent filmmaking, and let Cleveland have the Superman, and let Cincinnati have the what was the Jack
mob
Nicholson,
movie.
the mob movies, right? Let them have New York in the 50s and 60s. Let's make a real opportunity for not only Columbus independent filmmakers to have a place to show to the world that it can be done here, but then bring other independent filmmakers and higher budgeted indie films, even if they're studio indie films, but have them realize that this is a place that can be done. I think we've already started that. I think it's already happened, because when those top leads go back and talk to their management and talk to their people and talk to other actors and producers when they're on other things, hopefully what they will continue to say is that, man, it was just in Columbus, Ohio, and the cast and the crew there was amazing.
Yeah.
And to have that be out there now
Sure.
in the ether,
Yeah.
right? I think that's like
Yeah.
the first step. I mean, obviously we
Thanks
all
to you
want to
guys.
see this movie succeed with distribution and
for
get
sure.
on places, and then people say, "Oh, where was that done?" And then we get to do the next one, and the next one. But I think the first step of that's already happened.
I feel like Columbus is that way with a lot of
At halftime,
a lot of fields, music, art, fashion. Like, there's a lot of really good bubbling industries here that are just at the cusp of this, of blowing up and being a nationally recognized hub.
100%. And it's interesting because the cinematographer and the editor on Down to the Felt, Anthony Codispati and Evan Campbell, have a production company here in town called Film Forge, and they're now doing a documentary for the Columbus Fashion Alliance, which is exploding. And so it is incredible to now think about all these different forms of art that are in Columbus and how much Columbus is kind of an art town.
Right. Jack of all trades, waiting to.
Yeah. With film just being one of them.
What are we drinking right now?
All right, so
Well,
what
now
are we
we're
up
down to
next?
the single malt.
The single malt. What is this?
Which
Dino?
none of us can pronounce.
Dino, say it. Say it with
I
it.
took a shot at it.
Torta
but I
Bahag.
Torabeg.
Torabeg.
Torabeg. Torabog.
Anybody with
Turn
a
it towards
Scottish
me.
brogue?
Torabag.
Clark Donnelly.
Torabig.
Torabeg.
We're drinking the Torabig. Don't you know?
Again,
I'll take that one. That one's good.
Yeah.
All right, what do we think of this
This
one?
is on the
I don't know, I haven't tried
Watershed
it yet.
Company.
This is the
Marussia.
Marussia.
Another Marussia.
Another Marussia.
This is the
label.
single malt.
I like it better than this one.
This is the single malt.
I like it better than that
Let's
one.
take a look.
The
So
single
while we're
malt, the
sipping
single malt's
this-
definitely.
It's nicer.
While we're sipping this, I can ask you guys. So you've got 2 features under your belt now. This being the second one, the first one being Street Where We Live.
Well, and then before that
Minus
one,
one.
minus one.
Minus one, yeah.
So
Oh,
we've
it's
got-
minus one. So
right,
sorry.
yeah. The big
So-
poster.
It's
right
only the
behind
giant
me.
poster
Yeah,
right there.
giant
That's
poster
right.
right over there.
Okay, so do you have a third or fourth one? Or you have another one on deck, so to
Yeah.
speak?
No, we
Several.
got.
We have
we've
plenty
got-
on deck.
Oh, is that
Notice
right?
The street where
That's
we live
not the
posters
problem.
Down.
No, it's gonna get moved. It's gonna get moved.
Oh, no.
Over here.
No.
Readjusting.
It's
gonna
gonna
right
move,
there.
It's gonna move to over.
Directed by
It's
John
moving
Whitney.
over to where the Steeler clock is over there. It's gonna move over there.
bumping the
in its own
Steelers. That's
prominent
big
spot.
time.
Yep. So
Yeah.
the Steelers are gonna
Well,
move someplace.
That
else.
leads me
I'm
to
sorry.
my other
I
question.
can
That
still
leads
see
me
the
into
whiskey
my other
business
question.
trophies, so we're all right.
It's a
What's
really
that?
great segue into my next question. So it said that first write from the heart and then go back and write from the head, right? So how do you find working together, all three of you writing? I mean, is there any conflict with that? Like, do you how is it writing all three of you? You're not literally in a cabin in the woods.
No, we
No,
were. We
it's-
were literally
they
in
were.
a cabin in the
cabin in the
woods
woods,
to get put together
Yeah.
the treatment, a solid treatment all the way
There's a
through.
photograph of that.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
did any of you as writers lose anything from the script that you
No.
really wanted?
Oh,
based
sure.
on-
Yeah, no.
Well,
we
yeah,
And
did.
if so,
we
what?
wanted-
And if so, what
stuff,
was that?
No, there
What
was
did that make you feel?
there was and conflict's the wrong word. What we
Yeah.
did is we challenged each other
Yeah.
repeatedly. If somebody felt really passionate about something, it was up to that person to sell it to the other two, and
Yeah.
vice versa, and so forth. And sometimes those battles were won, and sometimes those battles were lost. But at the end of the day, there was a consensus. Okay, everybody was honest. Nobody walked away going, "Well, fuck it."
Fuck it.
And I would say there's stuff that I would have loved to have kept in there, but it shouldn't be in there. And that's what
Yeah.
having this trio
You got to do.
helped us
Right.
to see is that sometimes when you're in a silo of writing for yourself, everything seems pretty good until you send it out to get notes. And what I think one of the beautiful things that happened early on is that we were constantly in a place where we could give notes.
Right.
Freely.
That was part of
Yeah.
my question was what's the advantages and disadvantages
We
of
treated
having
it.
the three of you
I always
work
felt,
together?
and this was my goal every time that we got together, most times at this table here, was to treat it like a writer's room. And every scene that we were doing, every scene has to have its arc within the whole arc of the story, but every scene we would treat and like we were, all right, let's break this down. Sometimes
Yeah.
Ralph and I would act it out. Sometimes Dino and Ralph would act it out. And I think that was incredibly helpful and a big advantage for us. And
Huge,
it's
yeah.
interesting, one of the stories that Colin tells about getting the script for the first time from Ralph is he saw 3 writers on the front page and he didn't read it.
Uh-oh.
He wouldn't read
He
it.
closed it.
He closed it. He put it away for 2 weeks until
Was it
he
2
was.
weeks?
It was 2 weeks
2 weeks.
Bored or something?
because you sent it to him before we went out to
Because
AFM.
he thought that
okay.
three writers
And he
would
thought
be a
three writers-
disaster.
Again,
Would
that's
be
right,
a
then it's happened
disaster.
again.
And
thought-
he said 3 writers. Okay, I'm going to have to tell Ralph. Oh, that's nice.
Well, a
script.
lot of words,
That's
yeah.
great. Yeah.
A lot of words.
Until
was he
he
wrong?
was coming back from a gig, flying on an airplane. He was coming back from an acting gig, and he was like, "All right, well, I guess I'll read this." And that's when he started reading it, and he opened it up, and he said, "God, you guys have something here."
How long have you three been collaborating?
I mean, we've collaborated. I mean, all of us, even with John Whitney in the room here, we've all worked together over
Yeah.
the last 20 years in
20
different
years,
ways, shapes,
easily,
or
yeah.
forms.
At least,
so
yeah.
we've all collaborated together in a
Longer
lot of
with
different
John.
ways.
Yeah. Hire
I
him
was
a lot.
co-producer on one of Johnny's short films. I worked
Really?
with Ralph on my very first film
That's
ever.
right.
Yeah.
Heartland of Darkness.
Okay, that's the only time we're going to mention that.
I was on that shoot too.
You were on
I
that
was-
shoot
I
as
was in
well.
that.
That's on the wall.
Yeah.
You
I was
have
in
a
it.
longer relationship.
That's where I met
with them.
Dina.
Yeah. So, But
I've known you
All
longer
right,
than
well,
most
just for
guys.
people who
and
I
I've
don't know.
collaborated
Yeah,
with John on several things, but this is the first
Yeah.
time that, as far as a large, complete from start to finish collaboration, that it's been the three of us.
But halfway through, we took a break to do the half-hour comedy hour.
Remember that? We did
Now
that.
we're
Take a
talking.
break just to walk away from.
We're getting to
the,
really what you
all
wanted
right,
to talk
finally.
about.
All 6 of us were all involved.
That's
in it.
true. The half-hour
forgot.
comedy hour. That
Yeah.
was fun.
That
was
was
a blast.
A podcast go listen back. I don't know, geez, a couple years ago.
Couple years ago,
Yeah,
it's
right
but
at the
it's
tail end of
almost
COVID,
2 years
wasn't it?
ago.
Right
Yeah.
at
like
the tail end?
a sketch comedy show. It's on the Whiskey Business archives.
We need to do another one of those.
Yeah, we do.
Absolutely, that's what I talk to these
The
guys
half-hour
about.
comedy hour, which is only
15 minutes.
minutes.
15 minutes.
It's only 15.
It's only
minutes.
15 minutes.
Through gritted teeth. That's what
Yeah,
I love.
15 minutes.
The studio engineer.
So I played the studio engineer. I forgot.
That was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
But I think, Chip, to answer your question, also, I think just like all of us, we all have these stories and stuff that we want to do next. We have plenty of stuff
Yeah.
lined up to do, and
You guys
It-
been writing again? What?
Yep.
we had several ideas that we started on. Things that aren't fully fleshed out yet, but and some of them are. Like there's a script. There's 2 scripts that are there already that could be up next. But a lot of ideas.
Yeah, we'll see what people want and how the film does. And
If they say you got a comedy, we got a comedy. If
Yeah.
they say you got a drama, we got a
We got a
drama.
drama.
You say you got a
You have a feature? Yeah.
fe-
You have a
com-
limited series? Yeah. You
Yes.
have something
Yeah.
like
Are you at a
that.
position where you? I mean, how are the movie's not out yet? So you're still working on Down to the Felt. Are you in a
Right.
position where you can start doing other projects yet? Or are you
No.
still consumed with Down to the Felt?
We could start working. We can start writing
Writing,
stuff. I'm
sure.
writing for. I've been scribbling for
Sure.
for weeks.
I think I am not in a position where I'm going to be doing any kind of writing anytime soon until the edit is finished.
Sure.
And it's just the nature of being
That-
the director is that I'm going to be in it for the next 2-3 months
Sure.
until.
question.
Yeah. Another-
That reminds me. I got another question for you. This is a great segue into this because you're the director. I've got a director question. So, as a director, and you also took part in the writing, as a director, was there a performance by any of the actors or the actress
Or
that
extras.
just stood out, just stood out for you? Like you said, "Oh my God!" Like you walked away thinking, "I didn't think of it that way, but my God, I'm so glad they brought that to the table."
Chip
Was there
Kocel,
anything
what an
like
actor.
that? Yeah. Now you must remove me from the equation.
Oh, okay.
Because
All right. Well,
I do that
no,
because
that's
that
then
just
it's a
wouldn't
tough
be
answer.
fair.
There was a scene that I didn't know would go in a certain direction until the actors and I started rehearsing it, and then leaning into where their
instincts.
where their instincts and where their initial feelings were for how it should go really surprised me. It was a scene between the assassin and the rabbi, who he's trying to get some kind of solace from and find some guidance from. And it took a totally different direction than when we had written it on the page and how it showed on the page. And because of the actors' choices in those rehearsals, and I think this is one of the things to, as a director, to be open to, is to be open to that, always be open to that collaboration, but still balance that with knowing what I have to get for the rest of the story, making sure that it doesn't, become some kind of left turn that feels like it's a something disconnected from the rest of the story, but being able to balance that. But when they brought this different level of this emotion to this scene,
pretty cool.
it was super
amazing.
easy to be able to say, okay, lean into that, guys,
it's
and
pretty
explore
cool.
that more. It's something I had never thought of. I don't think we had ever
No,
thought
we
of
hadn't.
on the
No.
page.
As writers, I'm sitting there listening to it like, okay, those are the words, but not
this-
the way that I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
And one was the
put out
lead
there.
actor. One was the lead actor, Michael Weston, and the other one was a local actor, Tim Browning. And their performances in that scene are just absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, it made it
Can't wait to
serious.
see them.
Yeah.
Let's talk about more of the actual shooting. I mean, you guys did it for 3 weeks,
22
4
days.
weeks.
4
22
weeks,
days.
like
6
I
day
don't know,
weeks.
I mean, that's that's a whole podcast in its own. Like, I don't know. Tell us, like, I don't know, funny stories or like, I mean, like, there's got to be highlights of you guys are living your dream, making a fucking movie.
But you're not thinking of it that way. You're thinking it's not living the dream. It's what have we got to do today? What can we accomplish? How can I help someone?
When you're in the
It's the job. Yeah. I mean, people are coming up now saying, "Oh, congratulations." I'm like, for what?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're not
done yet.
We're
blur
done.
that I just lived through.
Yeah.
We're done. We're done-ish.
We're done ish with
filmed
that
like
part.
overnight,
But that's
all
what this
night
whole
long.
thing has been. It's just, all right, let's do this part. Cool, we accomplished that. Let's do this part.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, let's keep moving on.
What was the
That's
best
what
place
it
to
is.
shoot?
What's that?
What was your favorite place to shoot?
Favorite location?
Yeah, favorite.
I got a
location.
couple of them.
My favorite was the Italian Club because we had so many extras, and that was the first big thing with a lot of extras. And
It was also one of the most incredible transformations of a location I've ever
Yes.
seen in my life.
Yeah.
Our production designer, Jack Carnevale, turned that Italian club into an underground casino that looked so fucking
Incredible.
good. And it was so different than this kind of blank canvas that this room was. And when we stepped into that set that day, I was just, I had seen it the day before, not lit. And not only Jack Carnevale, but then our gaffer, Jared Green, what he and his team
Oh
did
my
to
God,
light that
yeah.
space.
Yeah, Jared's talented.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Incredible. And for, I was just with Jack Carnevale earlier today, and I just marvel still looking back at those three teams, and the other team being the camera department with Anthony. The way that they work together with such synergy to bring these spaces to life and make it look like a real fun.
And you
know,
ask
it was
Jack.
incredible.
Jack will tell you that was his.
That's his favorite.
That's his cherry on the sundae. The Columbus Italian.
That was my
It
favorite.
was
place.
so good that the Italian club asked. They said, "Can we just keep?"
Yeah,
Kept
that's-
some of it. They
So
got
they
some of
kept
it.
some of the.
They
Yeah,
kept
can we
they
eat
kept
this?
some of the wood that we put up and changed the walls. They kept some of it, and some guys actually said, "Can we just keep it like it is?" Period. With the crap tables and the poker tables and the roulette tables and everything else.
fundraiser.
They're like, no.
So would you say that was your favorite moment on set?
My favorite moment on set was what Johnny was just talking about.
Okay.
That scene was my favorite moment.
My favorite moment on set was 7 pages of intense dialogue between Michael Stahl David and Michael Weston at Rafters.
I was there that day.
You were there that day.
Yeah, I listened in.
And I let you listen in on the ears for a minute. And I think we all agreed that if that scene didn't work,
We were fucked.
we didn't have a movie.
I felt fortunate being there because number one, it said the name of the movie. Number two, it was a pivotal scene because was the scene that revealed the premise of the film.
Right.
So I was like, going, this is everything in one package.
Yeah. And
When you watch a movie and they say the name of the movie, do you clap? I always do that. No matter what movie it is.
It never said Star Wars.
They don't did
Boy.
I thought you said
This surely is a Star Wars.
yeah, that was for me. That was my favorite because I was really nervous about that. And the first thing I said to myself, God damn it, who wrote this? Who wrote 7 pages of dialogue in one spot?
It'd be tough.
But they pulled it off, and they pulled it off magnificently.
Well, as the director, I sometimes asked, who the fuck wrote this?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we did. I don't know. I think, actually, for me, the first day was one of my favorite days.
Wasn't Dino an actor on the first day, right?
Dino was an actor on
it
the
was
first
the
day.
first night, yes.
There's also a part of.
But that's not what he's talking about.
It's not what I'm talking about.
No, he's talking about his wife. His wife.
I mean, well, there's that. But it was this moment at our first safety meeting before anything even started. And Jared and his team were pre-lighting, and we were in 2 different locations at San Filippo Produce.
I was there that day.
Yeah.
You see where?
But there was something about, and I really hope I can still, for years to come, remember that moment, that feeling of seeing this team that had been put together and realizing, all right, this is it. Like, this is our chosen family. Here we go. And I would be constantly reminded of what Jared had told me at the end of a pre-production meeting, We were at the production offices, and he said, Johnny, you're going to go like this, and you're going to be at the wrap party. So just remember every day.
Yeah,
and
sure.
sure enough, when we were at the wrap party, I looked at him, and I was like, Jared, it happened.
It's a blur.
And it's
is.
and like you said, and that's what made me think about that, and that's why I think that first day on set was probably my most memorable one, because I
Soak it
looked
in,
at
'cause
all
it's
of us,
going.
and I thought, all right, this is the beginning of it. Before we know it, we're going to be at the end, because it is a job at the end of the day. But there are also those moments where I think we've all had it, where sometimes in the middle of a day of filming, you just get that feeling of like, this is where I should
Belong.
be.
Yeah.
Right.
This is it. This
Yeah,
is it.
I
This is the
I
thing.
had postpartum blues.
I know.
Yes.
You know, the
I
first
know that
couple
feeling.
days not being able
Yeah.
to go to set. I like,
Yeah.
what am I going to do for?
Yeah, I
15
call
hours?
it PSD,
Yeah.
post set depression.
Yeah, I was like, where?
Yeah.
What?
I've had that
I felt lost for,
Yeah.
for a couple days. It's like, okay,
Yeah. What is there to do?
what is there? You know, and then
We all know it. I mean, there's no life like set life.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the best. And Johnny, you're a director. You know that feeling. Is
it's
when you're
great.
in that seat and you just think like, this is what you should be doing.
When you're humping, man, it's the best.
It
Yeah,
is.
or, you know, the
That's
stand-up
why when you're
comedian,
if you're
yeah.
doing 14, 16-hour nights
Yeah.
or days into nights or nights over
I never did a
nights.
16-hour day in my life.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. But you know you don't.
My reputation says I don't.
Oh no! Sorry, you do tens. You do tens. There's nowhere else you'd rather be. Nowhere else you'd rather be.
That's
So,
pretty-
John, now that you're into it's a couple weeks now into post production, are you finding do you have to do any pickups or reshoots down the road? Did you see yourself
Not-
doing anything?
Not yet.
Good. Knock on wood.
I will say that
Excellent.
because of the incredible editing force that Evan Campbell is, I'll be looking at a rough cut next week.
Nice.
That's
Already,
pretty
I mean,
amazing.
he was also our digital transfer.
Yeah. Will we be doing a
specialist.
preview screening for some notes or anything?
no,
No.
no.
you know,
Nice
preview
try.
for just the friends.
Nice try, nice try. But no.
But if you need a second pair of eyes, let me know, John.
But that
wanna
is
help
that
with someone.
actually
Laptop.
you know there is there is that.
I have a lockbox.
There is that thing where within a trusted circle, there is going to be a point where we're going to want to get feedback
Yeah.
on what that edit is. But to the testament of Evan and our assistant editor Jackson Sloan and the other assistant editor Ross Mitchell, Evan was doing digital transfer and he was taking stuff in every day. And then our assistant editor Jackson was assembling all the footage so that Evan could then start cutting while we were actually filming. And it was
so you got ahead of the
actually
game, yeah.
it was a one. I wasn't sure how it was going to work having Evan on set, knowing he was also the editor. But it was such a gift.
It was.
to have
a
Evan there
huge
because there were
gift.
so many
Huge.
times that he came up to me and helped me as a director, saying, "You might want to think about getting some other kind of
I
angle on
really
this."
believe in that
Oh,
being on
man.
set.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what
Because
Spielberg does.
because they know how to put together a story visually, and if you miss something, you're right. They will tell
They
you.
are
They will
another
tell
set of
you,
eyes.
and to have that trusted person that can tell you that from an editing perspective, because I know this with you, I'm sure of this. I assume this with you is that as a director, writer, filmmaker, you see the edit in your head.
Yeah.
Right. When you're shooting, you're kind of shooting for you're not only shooting for the story, you're shooting for the edit.
Oh, he definitely is. I know
and-
he's a brutal editor. He'll cut out some really.
That's how
cool
I
things.
felt, right? I
brutal.
I saw the edit in my head when I was
Yeah.
directing.
Director's
and,
cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't know how much of a wonderful thing it was to have Evan there.
Well, it's good to have
Evan
a
there.
second pair of eyes because, I mean, we've all done shorts and we've done smaller projects, and it's really easy to work that way as a director, and knowing what you don't need, and you say, "We're not going to do that shot because I don't need it."
Yeah, right.
But when you've got such a huge scope in your project, you don't have time to fucking think about that shit.
Get it.
You really need somebody to have your back, especially an editor. So
Yeah. No,
Have
he was
you worked with him
amazing.
before?
No. I've
was his
known
book?
him for a while. I've known Evan for a while, but never worked with him.
Very
and
cool.
just, I would never work without him again. I'll tell you that right now. Already, and
man,
already what I've
yeah.
seen.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole list
Oh,
of,
yeah.
of people like that moving forward. That if if they're available and we have the opportunity to work with them again, we will.
Oh, yeah.
Rising tide raises all boats.
Yes, it does.
And I would work for those people in any capacity.
Oh, God, yes.
I'd fucking PA on on anybody else's set. I'd do anything. I'd fucking haul
Absolutely.
cables or do anything.
The other thing I want to mention too, we mentioned guys like Anthony Kodaspati who was DP and Evan and so forth, and there were a lot of young people that are just starting in this world.
This was their first.
That this was their first experience,
I saw a lot of young faces when I was
and
there.
how amazing for
My
them.
daughter's friend was a PA in the art department.
There you
he
go.
He came up to me, Mr. Kocel. I'm like, yes, I am old.
Oh, Will?
Yeah, Will.
Yeah,
Will
Will.
Jackson.
Well, yeah,
Will's great.
Johnny's kid. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there was so many like that. What a great experience for them, and they stepped up and they learned so much.
And how great is it that they had leaders who have been around for a while, like Evan and Anthony, who have
Right.
been doing this for
Yeah,
10
at the
plus
same
years.
time, there were people like, "This is my 40th film." I mean, it was a good,
what?
diverse crew.
It
Yeah, and you know
was.
what ends up happening is the older guys will see someone young and kind of take them under their wing. And
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, we took a
You
lot
know,
of people under.
I
our
think
wings
that's
and-
amazing.
that situation.
I've seen that hundreds
I
of
mean,
times.
well, and to see somebody who's as experienced as Jared is in this business, and to
Been
see
around
him.
forever. I remember him back when I was a freelancer.
Yeah, to see him be so excited about working with all the different departments and the younger crew that we had who were just kind of getting their feet wet. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was.
amazing
It really
to
was.
see.
Planning was amazing.
It really
Jared's
was.
Planning was phenomenal.
My only concern is that we did we spoil them because they worked on this and and now they're gonna go to something. The next thing they go to might not be on the same level.
Right, yeah.
But the experience that they have from that, I hope that they take what they learned from this and the level of work that they had to do. I hope they'll apply it to no matter what project.
Well,
they're
you
working on
were
next.
able to help them sharpen their tools and knives.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
I think
So-
through that, anything that they're going to be on, they will raise
Oh, yeah.
bar.
that next project that they're on just by having the experience of
Yeah.
what they've been through with
Yeah.
us.
For sure.
And the whole goal is to then say, okay, the next time we're all doing something together, okay, we're going to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
that's,
right.
that
For
was
the next
that,
thing.
that was one of my coolest takeaways from that is just watching the fact that and even though we talked about it quietly, when you talk about the big picture of what we wanted this whole project to be, it is that it is when we talk about bringing in independent filmmaking to Columbus on a bigger level, it is about bringing those people who might not ever have gotten the opportunity or don't know when they're going to get the opportunity, to give them the opportunity.
Yeah.
And to see that the talent is there and to nurture it and to raise it and to and let them soar.
I mean, I know, like, from a perspective of a freelancer in Columbus, Ohio, is that you don't get many opportunities to work on a long form project.
Right.
And most of your jobs are 1, 2, 3 days maybe, and they're commercials or whatever, and you don't really give a shit. All you worry about is the friends that you have on the crew and the paycheck at the end of the day.
And
So-
if the food's good.
And the food's good. Which leads me to this question.
Our food was great.
What was the worst thing on the craft service table?
Well,
You brought up food, so I had to ask.
there wasn't a worse thing on the.
I got to
It's not
tell
a serious
you.
question.
No,
It really wasn't. I mean,
wasn't,
we were
yeah.
fortunate that Cameron Mitchell
Mitchell.
was our caterer. I mean,
Yeah.
Not a
it's like-
sponsor, but
Well, there
could
you
be.
go.
Yeah, there really wasn't.
The protein balls were a huge.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh my
shit.
God!
Those
How do they
those
make those?
peanut butter chocolate chip
Yes.
protein.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Amazing.
I think I still have some in the trunk.
no,
should.
those
Oh my
are
God.
amazing. Hey, not only were they good, they kept me fairly regular throughout the set. Throughout the shoot.
Good to know. Good to know, Dino.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No,
Hello
we were
there.
really, I think, fortunate with Crafty and with Catered.
Yeah.
I mean,
And was that part of Cameron Mitchell's kind of donation to the project? Was all the food, or did
he was
did he help
an,
as well?
he is
monetarily?
an investor,
Nice.
and through part of that is how we ended up getting Cameron Mitchell Catering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sweet,
Yeah, that sounds great.
dude. I remember I was on shoots sometimes where our lunches were fucking hot pockets, and I'm not fucking lying. We had hot pockets.
Wow.
Hot buckets.
And it wasn't a low. It was low budget, but it wasn't. I think they were being dickheads.
Yeah. I mean, but come on, John.
They
When
microwaved?
we shot Street, your wife was craft services.
Oh, I know. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
she
even
was-
there, if somebody's like home cooking something
Yeah,
or
something,
making
yeah.
something, that's
Yeah.
better than a fucking hot
I
pocket.
think these
Wow.
guys were rebelling
I did-
against. They were giving is the same food basically every meal.
Yeah.
And we were like, going, can we have something different? And then they gave us hot pockets,
Oh
and
my
we didn't
God.
complain again.
Yeah.
My wife was my girlfriend at the time, who became my wife eventually. She provided a meal for the crew for a film I did called oh my God, I'm blanking. Bullet Head.
Oh,
from the
Bullet Head,
80s.
yeah.
That was a
Mark Burson film.
Yeah, Mark Burson film.
Okay.
And that movie, she heard stories about how we were eating like noodles every day. So we shot at her house she was living at. She was renting a place on campus, and we were using the garage in the backyard. And she heard about how we were not getting any. So she threw together this huge meal for the crew, and everybody ate.
Nice.
And it was like, oh,
Here's another crazy connection.
Yeah.
Mark Burson's son, Bruno,
Yeah.
was on the G&E team. And
Yeah.
No.
Really?
what an incredible fucking
I remember
guy that
Bruno
was.
when he was like
Bruno.
this tall, dude.
That
Yeah,
guy,
right, yeah.
that guy is he's incredible.
We do talk about Bruno.
We like to talk about Bruno.
Was that
He
a
was amazing. He was incredible.
cartoon reference?
Incredible.
Good,
Incredible.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
One
Yeah.
time, my uncle used to be a stagehand at Austin City Limits, and one time I go down there, and he was like, "Oh, it was a Cheap Trick." So I saw Cheap Trick, and then he goes, he like, let me go backstage, and they have a big homemade pot of chili after every show, and that was the thing he was like most excited about. He's like, Cheap Trick, you gotta eat this chili. So like I was most excited about eating the chili with like the staff, and Cheap Trick.
Yeah, Cheap
I don't care how many necks your guitar has, you ain't got no chili.
Yeah.
It's all about the chili.
It is, man. It was the
all
craft
about the
services
food.
were great. I mean, the
a-
meals were great.
You know, a
and-
crew runs. A film runs on its stomach.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
On food and lighting.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, so many things. I mean, that's the other part of it that is still impressed upon me, and I think you guys might also echo the sentiment. But you take any one little, not even little, you take any one piece out of the
Yeah,
thing, and it all
doesn't
kind of
work.
falls
It all
apart.
falls apart.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And
It's
and
true.
it's amazing.
Take one
It's
cog out.
even more amazing to me. I mean, I know we've all had our experiences on sets and in films and things that we've produced and done in all of our own rights. Where like at the end of it, you're just like, God, it's amazing that this fucking thing was even made. And you look at all those names in the scroll at the end of a movie, and
Yeah.
it's just even more impressed upon me how important every single name is on
Yeah.
those credits.
Yep.
What is a best boy?
What is a best boy?
What is a best boy?
question.
Anybody else?
I know what it is, but I've been a best boy, so
You've been a best boy.
yeah.
That's hard
Yeah,
work.
There was a long time ago in the.
And the follow-up question, is there a best girl?
I imagine there is, but the common name is best boy.
Common name is
person?
best boy, and it has not been changed in the union
Yeah.
yet.
When I was best boy, it was basically the guy who would run all the power from generation to the breakout boxes and that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
this one cinematographer said, "I'm going over there. Bring me your best boy."
That's right.
Back in like
monocle.
1923 or something.
That's funny.
He's
Yeah,
a
dude.
Monopoly guy.
I had to drag 4-aught cable from the generator to the set, and it was brutal work. Brutal.
Well,
fucking
I
work.
also,
it's
you know
a
what,
G&E. It's
but also
electric.
it gives me an opportunity
Just,
to
just like a historical name, basically. Very
it
good.
gives me an opportunity to throw you some props. You know, when we did the concept reel, you stepped in and did all kind of work
Yeah.
with us on that day.
I think I shocked the DP.
Yeah.
I don't think they thought this old man could make it all
yeah,
the way through
yeah,
that.
you
I
worked-
told
You
you.
did.
I told you afterwards.
You worked your
Ori, the
ass
DP,
off.
came up to me. It was the next night I was dropping stuff off at Loose Films there.
Yeah.
And Ori was like, "Who was that dude?" I was like, "Well, okay, you got to be a
Which
little more
one?
specific." He's like, "No, the dude who was like helping us with like with
fuck.
grip and everything is like tall dude." I'm like, "Whitney?" He's like, "Yeah, that guy's fucking awesome, man. That guy was incredible. He just went the whole fucking day. He was like a goddamn machine."
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's fucking John Whitney.
He was in bed for 3 days after.
Yes,
but,
he was.
The next day was pretty hard. I did have actually the last setup. I was in here just sitting down. It was over.
That's all right, man.
Well,
You-
that was the garage shot.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just.
that's
I was.
right.
That was
I had help with the pre-light. and I
that was like
done.
a 15-hour day.
Yeah.
I don't know how many locations in
Look,
one day did we have. That?
5.
I think that comes back to what I was just saying. You take any one part out of it. You take
Yeah,
you
yeah.
out of doing that and giving so much of your time
Yeah.
and your energies to help us
Knowledge.
make that concept real would not have led to us being able to have that concept real, to do the fundraising, to get to this point where we're doing the movie. It's so many different people having so
I know
many
you were kind of tentative. Wasn't quite sure if you wanted me to ask me to be on that show, that part of it. But I was like, going, I don't care. I could help light, man. I think it's actually fun working with the DP. It's fun.
Well, you know,
Any kind of production
and you
is
know where
fun,
that
man.
came from, which was like,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
had Ori step in, and already he was going to be doing the cinematography on it, and I was like, well, I don't know, would John want to come and play with us for the day, or is it? Yeah. I didn't want to take up your time because I know how
I've
much
worked
it's
with bigger
valuable
guys
to
like,
you.
but it's okay.
Yeah,
Ori
the
was great. He was
reluctance, the
great.
reluctance was just simply out of respect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
No, I appreciate
absolutely, and
But of course, I
nothing
said
more.
yes right away because anytime you're on a set working with a team, it's always fun.
and that comes
I
back
always
to
have a
like
good time.
set life is
That's
the
why we
best
do
life.
this.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Set
Yeah,
life
yeah.
is the best
Yeah,
life.
it is fun.
All right, we're at an hour. I'm just making a note.
All right.
We can go for another hour or two.
No, let's not do that.
No. We got
Johnny has said it.
another 20,
Chip
30
have more
minutes.
Chip, do you have-
I'm
Chip-
actually looking.
Chip
That's
has
funny
more
you say.
questions.
You're looking.
I'm sure Hansberry's got more questions,
Yeah,
and then we
I was
have.
asking this earlier to Dino. Like, okay, so you spend, you make $800,000, and you still have to raise more money to finish up.
Yep.
Finish up. Yep.
What was the thing where you're like, God damn it, we should not have spent money on this, or both? Oh God, I would spend twice as much on this. It was so valuable to set.
I can answer that one. I can answer that one right out of the gate. First of all,
What is your answer? I'm curious. to hear.
My answer is not a wasted dollar. First of all, on anything,
I don't know.
and I think if the day that we had two cameras at Rafters. One of the days that we had
Yeah,
two,
the scene I was there.
the two
Yeah.
camera shoots. I know that was extra money, but money
Well,
was
it's going to save you time.
Yeah.
it saved time, but also it
Captured.
it was a beautiful thing
Yeah.
Important scene.
to have in two very important scenes.
Yeah,
That was
and
at the
we also
church?
had at the church/synagogue. We had the two cameras there as well. But from and I come at directing also from having an acting background. So for me, I also knew that it was important, and I was being pressed by the producer team to try to have two cameras as much as possible. But I knew where we really needed to have it in those moments where I wanted to be able to, when it was this 6-7 page scene,
Yeah,
where I
right.
knew I wanted to allow the actors to have a moment where they could just sit in the scene as actors, not have to cut, not have to worry about saying, all right, well, this is the master. I'm not going to worry about doing too much of the first part of this scene. And then I'll get it in my coverage, right? Which I think can happen, right? But both of those actors came up to me afterwards and just said how much fun it was to be able. They said that
Just rip
they
right through
rarely
it.
get
Yeah.
a chance to really do a full scene
Yeah.
from beginning to end, and that's we might have even taken a little bit more time doing that than was on the production schedule. But I knew it was so important for them to stay in it for all of the different angles that we got in it, even with the two cameras. I think we had 3 different setups with the two cameras for that scene, but they just brought it. They brought it to that scene, and I think part of that was being able to have that luxury of the money well spent of having those two cameras.
I always think
there.
of that. Obviously, we're not nearly as close to that budget. We're on an $80 budget. But when I'm at Guitar Center, I'm like, fuck, should I buy this cord
Right.
or this cord or that mic or this stand? It's like, and then you just try to get the best bang out of your buck. I mean, everybody thinks of that no matter what level you're
And
at.
when I was watching that bar scene, I was acting like an editor. Actually, I was looking at the two monitors, and I would look at somebody speak, and then actually I would go to the other one
Yes.
just to get the reaction to cut away. I was like, and I sat there and like going, they have something, plenty of plenty of material to cut something together.
Right.
I was just like looking back and forth as is editing into my brain. You know?
Well,
Yeah,
that's
what
also
you do on this
that's also the
podcast.
director in you, because that's what I was doing, and there were certain takes where I would know that, like, okay, I could hear that this actor was there, so I'm just going to watch the reactions of the other actor, because once I knew that this certain actor was at a certain point, then on the next take I was like, all right, I know he's going to be there, so I'm gonna watch the reactions of this other actor to make sure that I'm getting what I need to get in this next one.
Now, did you have time to do playback to check?
Yeah.
check takes?
We sure did.
I didn't know how fast you had to go.
Yeah.
Playback now, dude. Playback now. I mean, it was as quick as
Easy.
calling over to Grayson, our first AC, and saying,
Yeah.
"Grayson, can we see that?"
It's almost immediate.
And then it was, yep,
Almost
it's up.
immediate.
It's
What was your
playing.
biggest day? How many pages in one day did you get through? Not counting the 7-page bar scene, because that's like 2 cameras and just ripping right through it.
It was
Like setups and pages. Do you remember?
It was,
Wasn't it synagogue?
yeah, it was the synagogue.
Yeah.
It was the first day
Yeah.
at the synagogue when we had the congregation.
Like 10 pages?
No, we never had 10. It was like 8. It was like 7. It was 8. It was 8.
That's an ambitious day right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
I mean, it's an ambitious day when we want to have the kind of high style that this movie we felt like it needed to have.
How many times did you have a crane?
Oh, man.
One,
A crane shot at Honey
2,
Dip Donuts,
3, 4.
Was it like a
Because
cameo or
Honey
something?
Dip was one of the first, and
Yeah.
Dino was just like, "We've got a crane."
Yeah, I was excited.
That was the first day we had it.
Yeah.
We had a
like
crane at the synagogue.
So I mean,
For
Was it
both
like a
days.
Chapman or a steady or a cam mate, or what did you guys use?
It was
I'm asking you these questions. You
The
don't probably
Acme.
don't know. You
Acme
just signed the
crane.
check.
no, it was it was a cam mate.
Cam mate.
It was huge.
It was
It
big.
was
Yeah.
fucking huge.
Yeah.
I used to run cam mate.
It's huge.
I've done a lot of shit.
So I can remember
like
that
you made
Jared
that
was
up.
working like the crane, and someone else, and then Grayson was doing the focus pull, and somebody else was doing the camera head movement. on it.
Yeah.
But we had the crane on 4 days. We also had the crane on the boxing gym day,
Yes,
That's
we
right,
did.
yeah.
We did.
and they had the crane come around where the assassin comes into the boxing ring, and then it followed him around, and then we had the crane move through the ropes
Yeah.
into a push.
That is cool.
Into like the guy that he was there to kill. It was
Oh
it's
my
a
gosh.
it's a
We also had some magnificent Steadicam work.
Oh my
as well.
God.
I saw one because you cheated and shot something on your phone and you sent it to me.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't
I
send
promised
it. I
I would.
showed it to him. I didn't send it to him.
That's
I
right.
showed it to him.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I'm sorry, I misspoke.
I didn't send it to anybody.
Can I have some more alcohol?
Is that that
please?
copy?
Yeah, I showed
yes,
him.
please. I'd like to hear more about
Yeah,
whatever's
these
happening.
things that were
I
sent
showed
to you.
him.
He
He's
showed it to us in the Whiskey
mushbuka.
Business chat.
I was excited. I didn't send it to anybody.
The lockbox just got unlocked a little bit.
Okay.
What is it? There's something happening here. What's going on here?
John, go ahead and explain.
It looks like the power supply to the computer that is recording the podcast is not getting power.
At all.
Well,
Yeah.
he still has battery power, right?
Yeah, but it's
So we
probably
got a
getting
few
low.
more minutes left. So
All right. So
All
this
right.
this
I've got
could
a
be.
question for the writers, the three of you.
Yeah.
Now you've worked together now, and you have some success and some accolades coming your way with that. And
Maybe.
Are you ever going to write solo again? And if so, what are you going to write?
Fuck no.
Oh.
No. I mean, I'll write solo, but I'll bring it to these two to
okay.
talk about. I touched your mic.
That's
Sorry,
all
I
right.
touched your face.
I thought you
okay.
were going to say no.
I didn't want it with
except
these two.
yeah.
No,
do
I
you
want to
think?
write with these guys. Yeah.
I'll write movies with these guys. I still want to continue to write stuff, my
Yeah.
short stories,
Poetry.
and I'd like to take a shot at a play.
There you go.
Yeah.
But if I did, they still would be involved because these guys know theater. So in that respect, but as far as movie scripts, no, I'm in with these three for the movie scripts. But I'm always going to continue to write.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, I think that there are certain scripts that I have a very personal attachment to that I want to develop, but it's that thing I think we all have or have developed is that trusted circle, so that I know that
when I get to a draft that I'm ready for someone to see, like these are the first two guys who are going to see anything that I would ever do.
I agree with that.
And know that if I ever was to do something solo and wanted to do that, which I think all three of us need to do to continue to develop our own writing voice, that would only make the things that we do together stronger. But to have this group, this trio that we have, to be able to have a sounding board where I'm going to get honest feedback and I'm not going to get any pulled punches. I think that's the most important thing that I could have as a writer when I'm thinking about doing something that I want to.
My therapist says with my wife, there's feedback and there's criticism, and there's a fine line between the two.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's
That's a lot to unpack here.
okay. Are we ready for our next intermission?
I'm gonna
More
have a
liquor.
more of this blended malt.
It's well, okay. So I think with criticism, if it's constructive criticism, is that okay? I don't know.
Yeah.
Criticism's necessary, and if it's necessary, it's a necessary evil, and and again, if it's constructive criticism, if it comes from the right place,
Yeah,
if
right.
it comes
That's
from a
all where it comes
nasty,
from.
if it comes from a nasty, envious, spiteful place,
Ego place.
then
Yeah,
that's
it's awful.
that's different. But if it comes from a legitimate, constructive place, where this is like, thank you for listening to me. This is what I think, and you can agree or disagree with me, but these are just thoughts. Then then criticism is.
I know that's part of the process, though, right? I know you guys, when you guys had a table read and I had read the script, I added a couple of notes, and you guys were like, thanks, John.
Yeah.
You didn't take it wrong. I just was like,
Yeah.
this is a couple of my thoughts.
And part of it's respect.
So okay.
Well, no, it is.
Period.
It is.
We respect your opinion. I mean, even Dina will say that to me, which I
Seldom.
feel very for. But I take that as high praise. He'll say, Greg, I appreciate your opinion. I want to know what you have to say. And,
No, I do.
and
I
that's-
tease.
It's cool to be a part of the process.
I mean, to come back to what you asked earlier, Chip, too, it's
Yes,
like
sir.
that is important for us to have that kind of feedback or constructive criticism when we get to a point where we are ready to show this to a trusted circle of people.
I mean, Chip, you said something to me just in passing, and I went back and I still have to show it to you. I started to rewrite The Reluctant Eye, the novel.
Oh, no shit.
The novel.
Okay.
And
On your laptop?
On my laptop.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, it's already on the laptop. It's got transferred over to the laptop.
John's freaking out.
But
He's converting it from dot matrix to laptop.
But
typewriter.
it's funny. This is the thing. This is something that I wrote literally almost 20 years ago.
That's great.
And when we talked about stuff that we had in our earlier drafts that we cut and so forth and so on, I looked at that first chapter, and that first chapter is, I think, the first chapter is longer because it sets up the background for the character and so forth, but it was like 17 pages long. After I went through it, it's down to like 13 pages.
All right.
And,
There you go.
because I realized that
Yeah,
I don't
trim
need
that.
that.
Don't need
I
that.
don't need this. I don't need that. This makes it go. This gets to it quicker.
Yeah.
So forth and so on. So, Chip's and as I sat there doing, I like, you know what? I know I wrote this 20 years ago, but there was a lot of good stuff in there already. But now with experience and so
you're a
forth
better
and so
writer
on, yeah. So that might inspire me to go ahead and finish. I'm still going to keep it in 1989.
Oh, of course. Yeah, you got to.
So I'm still doing that, and it's interesting because it's Columbus in 1980, and again, it's Columbus. It's in
There you go.
Columbus.
Exactly.
You know,
you go.
it comes to Columbus. It starts in Chicago.
We have to
but it
bring
comes
back
to
the
Columbus.
Lazarus tree. Is that a thing, right?
The Lazarus.
The wishing tree? Was that it?
I remember the Lazarus downtown back in the day.
So do I.
Yeah, I used to catch shoplifters there, so
Yeah.
I definitely remember it. And I also
I'm glad
remember,
you didn't see me coming.
and we actually pulled a pervert out of the talking tree.
Oh, Jesus.
Pervert. Do tell.
That's a side story completely.
It's a sad story.
Let's just say that when the tree
my
would talk
God.
in the
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait a second. What? Okay, sorry.
You know.
We'll talk about that.
it's
For
you
after
use
the
your own
podcast.
imaginations.
Yeah. So it's a Columbus story.
It's a Columbus
Yeah,
story.
Like a reluctant eye, not the reluctant masturbator in a tree.
Okay.
God damn it, Ralph.
This will clean up a good 5 minutes out of this.
So maybe we're close to wrapping up. I don't know, but
I don't
do you
know.
want to? Do you have any? I have a kind of like a hopes and dreams. Like, what do you
Hopes
what do
and
you
dreams
hope to come
question.
from this? How, what,
Yeah.
you know,
My
what's-
hopes is that we get to do another movie together, that we write another movie together and film another movie together and keep doing that. I would love to not have to do a job that keeps the lights on and be able to do this full time. That's my dream.
Sure.
I would echo that sentiment as well. I mean, to write another movie together with these guys and put it all together. And if somebody were to ask me to work on something as a result of,
Yeah.
this movie, if that happened, to work on someone else's project, that would be a cool thing too. Hey, we got this idea. Do you think you guys could contribute to it? Maybe something that wasn't ours, but they like what they read in us and said, we want whatever you guys did to apply it to this, because this is a mess. Fix it.
Good idea.
I would do that as well, and that would I think that pays money, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
I've heard it does.
I heard it pays money.
Become
Yeah.
a script doctor.
Just punch it up. Just punch it up.
Carrie,
Dino,
Carrie
punch it up.
Fisher was one. Carrie Fisher was a script doctor.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
I think for
Punched up
me,
scripts.
it's all of that, and it's also I think my big dream is to continue, especially after having had this experience of this film, is to take all of those amazing people that we worked with and had the pleasure of working for us and for this
Honor.
movie.
Good Lord.
is to be able to do the next thing so that they can continue to do their craft
Yeah.
here in Columbus.
Yeah.
And continue to take it to another level and another level, so that at some point that is all that we're doing, is doing narrative long form storytelling here in Columbus with this amazing crew and cast that's from here as well, and the creators that are in this room all together, is to just say that this time we were fortunate enough and bold enough to step out and do it with Down to the Felt at this level, and the next time, if it's something that is a John Whitney story, or if it's something a Chip Kocel or a Hansberry story, whatever it is to say that Columbus has established itself as a place that these things can be done, and continue to professionally and continue to elevate it each time to another level, to continue to show that it doesn't have to be done anywhere else, that we can do it here, and that all of the talent on every side of the camera in every department is here to be able to make these things happen.
And I got to throw in the cliche. At some point, I would like to direct. You got to throw in the cliche. You got to throw in the. But I think I would actually at some point, because I would like to actually write something and also direct it as well.
Definitely.
Well, and I gotta say, it's
Before it's all said
inspiring.
and
It's
done.
cool,
Yeah.
guys. That. And how many of us have that project, right? That we want to do. We want to do that project. We have this dream project. We want to make a record. We want to make a movie. We want to build a fucking boat. I don't know, whatever it is, right?
Yeah, well, whatever and
But-
whenever that is,
but you
Whiskey
guys
Business will be here.
Did it? You
So
did
go
it.
ahead. Yep.
It's fucking awesome.
Celebrate
and it wasn't
your
easy.
accolades.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. Like I said earlier,
haven't done it.
we're done-ish.
We're doing it.
We're done-ish.
Well, we did.
We're still doing it.
You're getting there.
Yeah.
Do you have a date in mind for when it'll actually have a premiere, like a showing it, a public
I
showing?
do, but
actual
I've been
one.
told not to say it anymore.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
you have a
don't say-
target
okay.
date in your mind.
Yeah,
In our heads.
I do.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
it
yeah,
months
yeah.
or years away?
Months.
Months. We could say that. Months.
Okay, good.
I will.
So
I will-
Christmas.
I will securely say that it is within 2024.
Okay, great. So it's around Christmas. We'll be able to celebrate Christmas.
We said 2024, Chip. It
Yeah,
could
that's
be Halloween.
Christmas.
It could be Thanksgiving. It could be Christmas.
You
You
never
don't
know.
know.
Well, I'm giving you
What
the
holiday?
optimum amount.
It could
pushed
be.
out
It
as
could
far
be
as you could go.
Boxing
Christmas.
Day in Canada.
How did you know?
Well, I'll have to give you a Christmas present there.
And then real quick, because it could be another conversation. Like, we know with the independent films, it's like distribution. This. All right, you have this beautiful film. Let's say we're done. You're edited. It's perfect. Now what? What do you like? Do you have to then sell it to like a Universal
have
Studios or what?
distributors
What?
interested in us, interested in the script.
Yeah.
And there were several that said,
Amazon.
"Well, once it's filmed, come back to us."
Come back to us.
So
But that's one
But
way.
you were going to say something though, Johnny.
That's one way. But
Yeah, I mean, distribution. I think is kind of that unicorn or enigma. I think that any independent film, right, is tasked with trying to figure out. But we started very early on, trying to establish relationships, and it a lot of it has to do with the marketing and the PR that you can get behind a project.
Sure.
And I think that's where a lot of
straight to demand is like completely different now than it was 20 years
Oh
ago.
yeah,
Like,
The
No,
there's
it's-
Anne Hathaway movies that go straight to Netflix. Like,
Yeah. And so that whole idea of like, I mean, there's another hopes and dreams kind of thing for me, which is like I would love to be able to see this movie have a theatrical run.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing else that.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's what we all grew up doing
Yeah,
and still
going
love
to the
to do is
movies.
going to the movies, but it's a different world.
It is
for
a
that.
different
and,
world.
And it can
and to be an Oscar contender, doesn't you have to be like in a theater?
you
for, like,
do
a
have
certain
to have a
run?
theatrical
Yeah, all right,
run
okay.
for a certain amount of
for a certain amount of time, but then
Guess
you
we'll
know
do it a little
that
bit then.
it's a check mark that you can get. You can
Yeah.
you can
We'll go through the motions, I guess.
But
to
no,
get
but
an
it's
Oscar.
interesting. But you say that things have changed. You go back to when we were growing up, and you know it was almost taboo if a Hollywood actor
Straight to
did
VHS.
television,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden we came into this golden age of television in the last 20 years that has just been amazing, and where television is like the new movie. Well, that's the same thing with streaming.
Yeah.
You know, streaming. He's like, oh, it's just gonna pop up on Amazon or go straight to Netflix. Well, now look at Amazon, look at Netflix. They're putting out
want that.
they're putting
Apple
out Academy
TV,
they're putting out Academy Award nominated films
Yeah.
in the theaters.
in the theaters and on their streamers, both.
Yeah,
and,
you're starting to see
you know,
that
Apple,
real, right, yeah.
Apple. They're, you know, these. So yeah, the game has changed. So yeah, the stakes have changed. The game has changed, and everything is up for grabs, in a good way.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, what about the Turbo? The
What?
Turbo.
I enjoyed this
Scotch.
more.
I
Yeah,
like
I
the
like
single
that
malt
better.
more than the blended, and it's
Yeah.
not,
In fact, I'm gonna have
that's,
my-
It tasted
That's
less
no
like
Man's feet
gasoline.
in this one.
yeah, it was kind of. I didn't like it as much.
I like the taste of
I'm
the
sure
dirt
the people in
in my mouth.
Marussia. But what Ralph was trying to say is that he loves Scottish men feet. He loves Scottish
If
men
you like
feet.
Scotch, that's what you want.
Ralph has a whiskey foot fetish.
Yes.
And this one answers all. This one
all
rings
of
all
it.
the bells.
All
It
of
checks all the marks.
And by the way, this Turbo, it's a blended. It's a blended Scotch I was reading. So
this
Yes,
was a
it's
single
blended.
malt.
But on the thing it says
The other one is
Yes, it's blended the soils of the
more than
island
30
mixed
bottles.
with the potting soils of the
Barrel,
backyards of many a fine
But it's
lass.
still a single malt.
I thought you were reading the back of this fucking bottle, man.
They only made 30 batches, is what that's saying.
exactly.
But it's not blended.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's
Dino,
a
I'm
blended.
I'm
That's a
digging
blended.
it, Dino, either way.
Malt.
It's a single malt.
Yeah.
That's a single. That's a blended.
And either way, I'm
They're both
digging
good.
it. I'm digging the scotch.
Um,
Yeah,
I'm actually
it is
digging
kind
it.
of nice. It's a nice little change.
Exactly, and I'm kind of digging it. I
Hey
love
Chip,
it.
why don't we try to wrap it up with the business over there, buddy?
That's a great idea there.
So you done with us? You guys are.
He's staring a curveball right down the barrel.
I just want to thank our guests here on Whiskey Business tonight. Dino Tripodis, Greg,
Wow, you're doing so well.
Jon Osbeck, and Ralph Scott. Thank you so much for joining us here on Whiskey Business. As always, you are friends and colleagues, and just amazing.
We're talking about the
guests.
business.
The
Chip.
business, not the.
And Whiskey Business today.
Wait a minute, I'm kind of liking this. I'm liking this lead in.
Gotta
This is
get
out
a
there.
Gatto's Pizza.
Gotta get a Gatto's pizza.
Gattos.
Do you remember
Gotta
their website
get
or phone
a.
number?
It's you gotta get it.
Yeah, what's
Get
the
it.
number? Did Dino remember that?
Dino, do you
I
remember
don't
the
remember
number?
They're in Clintonville.
On Indianola.
Yeah, in Clintonville on Indianola. You can't miss them. I'll put it on the thing in the description. You'll
We
see.
get texts from John maybe like twice a month. He's like, I got some of those sausage sliders.
yes.
I got some of them sausage sliders.
Yeah,
Three of
what
them
she
the
said.
other day.
gotta get
they
a
sound
Gatto's.
good. I
Got
could
to
go for
get a Gatto's, and they also have a great sub sandwich. It's really great. It's
Yeah, the
huge.
Italian's very good.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not just
where-
the pizza you gotta
Where can
get.
people find us if they're interested in subscribing to our podcast?
If you want to subscribe to our podcast, go to Evergreen Network or any of your podcast
Yeah.
choices that you get your podcast
Any
for,
of
and
them.
go right to Dino Tripodis Pod
There you go.
Do we do video?
No.
No.
There's no
Go
Dino
to
Tripota. It's
Whiskey
Whiskey
Business.
Business
Whiskey
Pod.
Business Pod. Dino Tripota's Pod. Go there if you're his friend.
There's
Well,
no
there
Dino
is not.
Tripota's
Dino
Pod.
Tripota's
There's no
Pod.
Dino Tripota's Pod. God,
Don't
if you
listen to that
if you
one.
do that, who knows what you're gonna
I'm
get?
gonna go take a piss.
Who knows?
Business Pod.
Who knows what you're gonna get if
our
you
website.
do
What
that?
about YouTube? Is there a video of this, children?
Dear Lord, I
if you
can't
wanna
wait
see
to
the
host this show
unedited
again next
version,
week.
Like all this craziness that's happening right now, if you want to see that, that's on YouTube, and that's thanks to John Whitney and his ability to edit this thing together, which he doesn't edit at all. He
and
just
what's the
said it
name of that
frozen on.
YouTube
That
channel?
YouTube is Whiskey Business
With?
Dino Tripotis.
Wow.
That's on
Okay.
YouTube.
That part again.
That's
So
a very
that-
creative name, right? It's
Yeah.
yeah.
And check out the shorts that I myself, I try to throw something together and get it out there on the Facebook account. I don't have access to the Instagram.
All right.
But gosh,
All right,
we do
okay.
try.
John
You
John
know?
Osbeck. Thanks,
John
Chip.
Osbeck.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you so much
What
for
are
this,
what's the
man.
Down to the Felt socials?
Oh, Down to the Felt socials. You can find us at Down to the Felt Movie. And that's all of our socials. It's our website, Down to the Felt Movie.
See how easy that is, Chip, for Christ's sake.
I want to
it was
thank.
so
I personally want to thank the three of you for taking the reins this evening.
mantle.
John Whitney, thank you so much for being the. It
was fun.
The lead.
This is incredibly
on
fun.
on
This
this.
is
I got here.
Actually,
I finally got here, baby.
to wax a little bit, I mean, this is kind of a lovely way to wrap up that whole experience of filming, is to have this
It has
this
been.
thing amongst friends
peaked
about
quick.
talking
I
about
feel
it. because
relieved.
so often, like, you just kind of come down from it, and then you kind of deal with the whole thing on your own. But having this wonderful thing to talk about it, and the great questions that you guys asked,
Comfortable setting.
When's the
was
rap
really
party?
nice.
Because these guys.
I was wondering if it was going to
Son of a
I have two questions. Where's the rap party and where's my check?
Your check is
We have
in
your
the
checks.
mail.
We have your checks.
job, John.
And the rap party, has come and gone. Let me just say something. We finished shooting on a Thursday morning at 3:30 in the morning.
Yes.
There was an impromptu rap type of
Yes.
thing that happened here that went till 6 or 6:15.
Oh, here at your house?
At my house.
Oh.
Wait.
in the
Wait.
and
In the
three,
morning.
three in the morning.
That's right.
3 in the morning.
And then by the time everybody got out of here and I went to bed, it was 7. Then I was up at 10 and running my ass all around town to make sure that we got it. And we thought that everybody that was supposed to be invited was invited. We did not double check our list.
So when TJ, I'll protect names. When TJ Smooley showed up to the rap party, you were like going, when Chip and
Hansberry.
Hansberry are gonna show up.
My good friends. No, we're just fucking with you.
yeah, we're
because
just-
honestly,
the best extras.
To both of you guys.
The
all
best
three of you guys.
extras.
Stop.
Thank
All
you.
three of you guys, thank you for letting me be a part of this.
Yes,
Like,
thank
it was
you.
so fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, and I am getting paid.
I'm just keeping you guys
SAG
in
after
line.
rates.
Here's the wonderful thing:
Fair
SAG-AFTRA on our contract doesn't cover background.
Yeah,
so,
we
There you
don't
go.
cover
There you
that.
go.
But
so yes, you are
and
getting
again,
SAG-AFTRA
just
rates.
getting paid.
letting us be a part of it, even if you needed us.
But no,
it was fun.
I didn't throw. Hey, by the way, I didn't throw my name around on the set. I didn't say, "Hey, I'm friends with the director
Yeah.
and the producer." I
Chip
was
was handing out
really
business
low
cards.
key, and
But-
I just was observant of
I-
how I was treated
I
as,
know
as
I
an
will
anonymous
speak,
person.
I will speak for the three of us when I say some of the best moments on set is when you turn around and you see your friends.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
serious.
You do.
Cool.
Is when you turn
Yeah.
around and you see that in background are your friends who have showed up to do something that's a very thankless
Yeah.
thing, to be there for all of those hours and do that.
It was
and
fun.
I know it's no small thing.
But you
It is
also
no
get
small thing.
and you also get a chance to bust their balls.
You do a little bit.
I texted Hansberry. I go, "Oh man, this is a beautiful shot, and you're
Too
one
bad
seat
you're not
away
in
from
it."
being you're one seat away from being in it."
And it,
That's great.
here I am trying to say like how the thread of having background,
It is beautiful and
but it is so important in an independent
It is.
film
It
to
is,
have.
it is,
to-
it is, it is.
I mean, the that whole thing about having background in an independent film is huge.
It is.
Because so many times there's a bar scene where if it's the two guys who are at the bar, it's the two fucking guys who are at the bar,
else.
and there's nobody else there, and there's nobody else who's willing to come and spend the day
Right,
to sit there.
100%
I had to
correct.
call off of work for that.
Did,
Well,
Wait a second.
okay,
Wait
never mind,
a
never mind,
minute.
never mind.
No, you did not.
Moving on. Moving on.
Okay.
But
But it's incredibly important
and
and
it goes back
thankful.
to your thing about doing it in whether it's Columbus or not, with the city in which you live. You want to be friends with these people. This is your community. This is your tribe.
You want to
Yeah.
be a part of something.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be a part of something.
Everybody was, and everybody was. I mean,
Everybody was part of something. Yeah.
I forgot to thank all the amazing locations that we got, and how cooperative people were with their locations and their time in those locations. So patient and understanding, and thrilled to be a part of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we were very, like I said, serendipity, man. We were blessed in so
Definitely.
many ways. At no location was anybody like, "Are you done yet?"
Yeah, are you through yet?
That never happened.
People
Everybody-
were just so excited that something was happening there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess the other part of like the hopes and dreams is that this thing becomes a success. Not so much. I mean, yes, we want this to be a success for everybody who is involved and for ourselves, but like to shine a light on those people who gave us locations, and for them to be able to see like, oh, I gave of my business or my house, and this thing became something that
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
people will
I
see.
grew up
mean,
going
that's
to this
amazing.
to play. I played CYO basketball like in 8th grade at St. Philip's in Central Indianapolis, and it was iconic because that's where
Hoosiers?
Hoosiers was filmed.
Yes.
It was the scene where he got kicked out.
Yeah.
and we
Where Dennis Hopper got kicked out. Yes.
I know it. Yeah.
Oh.
And like
Nice.
we played in that gym, and like
sweet.
I was a shitty basketball player, but it was just like, oh, this is cool. So now I can say, I played in that gym. So to your point, like, it's cool. I mean, it's part of the
The only
community.
downside is that now everybody knows Dino's secret bar.
Well, that's true.
Until you
Secret
said
part.
the secret part.
Yeah.
You said secret.
It's just, all right.
But it
you're
is
right.
a thing
It's
where
a
somebody
secret
will
bar.
hopefully someday go into rafters
I
and
was
say
there.
like,
oh my God, I saw the movie.
dude, I was in that place where
Yeah.
they shot
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
yeah, and we
Dino
plan
Tripodis
on
goes here.
actually doing that, certifying
Yeah,
every
we're gonna-
location.
we're gonna
We're
have
gonna come
something
up
for
with
the
a little certificate.
Like
But now we really got
National Historical Monument.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Why
that's
not?
fun.
You know, location of down to the felt.
That's fun.
That's
Hey,
something that they can.
that hotel on High Street, South High, still has pictures of Jodie Foster's film.
Yeah.
Little Man Tate.
Little
up
Man
in
Tate.
the bar.
That's right.
For crying out loud, I worked on.
Oh,
that.
the round
Yeah.
bar?
Mansfield Reform.
The round bar's gone.
The round. It's a round bar.
But that's a round office.
What's it called?
Yeah, it used to be
Or Best Western or something
yeah.
like that.
Yes, that's right. Yes,
Yeah,
but
I've
right
had
across
many
from the
drinks in that
Claremont.
bar.
Right across from
well,
the
they had
Claremont.
pictures
yeah.
up until it became whatever it is now.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
That's the only way I know that.
All right.
All right, wrap it up, John.
And with that note, okay,
Yes.
here we go. We want to thank our guests, Jon Osbeck, Dino Tripodis,
Thank you.
Ralph Scott,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
and we got Greg Hansberry over here, and Chip, and we have our 2 bottles of whiskey here.
Get on camera,
And-
Jim.
and we-
Scotch.
Yeah, and we just want to thank
Musselburgh.
everybody for
Scotch,
listening
Scotch. I
in.
love Scotch.
And until the next bottle,
Or bottles.
see ya.
There you go.